Hey guys, Barry at CTech-review. Gonna have a fun one for you today. We're gonna do a review on the 2026 Ram 1500 with the 5.7 liter Hemi. And we're gonna compare the specs and everything versus the Hurricane so you can decide which engine makes most sense for you in a 2026 Ram 1500. Let's do this. You guys asked for it and you got it. Tim Kaniskis said, we're bringing back the Hemi, and they put this super cool badge on it for 2026 to represent the Hemi, but also they put the GT exhaust system, which gives you a very good sounding V8 exhaust. And I've got some other videos on this as well showing this. It sounds a lot better than the 2024 outgoing Ram 1500 with the Hemi. I just want to go over the window sticker here real quick. $64,000 for a bighorn, 16 city, 20 highway, 18 miles per gallon. You can see the option is $2,895 for the Hemi, $1,600 for the pano sunroof. This is a bighorn package that has the night edition and a level 2 group. $65,000 for a cloth interior Ram 1500 with the Hemi V8. This is a really good looking blue. If you're into blues, this thing is bright. This color very much pops. Now, for perspective, let's compare this to a similar Hurricane model and compare some pricing and performance and fuel economy. So here's a comparable 2026 Ram 1500 Bighorn Level 2 with the Hurricane engine. This no longer says SST. I kind of like that it says Hurricane, makes more sense to me. But this truck, let's look at the window sticker. 2026, 3-liter standard output. It's got the 355 gears, night edition package, level 2 package. It's got the Hurricane engine with the 12-inch display for a grand total of $61,395. Here's where we're gonna see a big difference, guys. 18 city, 24 highway, 20 combined. This Hurricane engine in the Ram 1500 per the EPA gets 4 miles per gallon better than the Hemi. What would you guys go with? I'm curious. I like the idea that it's got both engine options for 2026, but you guys also know my stance on the Hurricane. I think it's a great engine, and it's quiet, it's chill going down the highway, it's got great power towing, and from what I've seen so far, it's one of the smoothest engines I've ever driven. And the fuel economy towing, I don't know how to explain this, but the fuel economy towing in the Hurricanes I've towed with is really good, surprisingly. You wouldn't think the boosted engine would do that well. It's one of the best fuel economy gas engines I've towed with. But a lot of people don't really care about that stuff, and they want the tried and true Hemi V8. How cool does that badge look? I think it's pretty neat. It's just kind of fun. This is the fun stuff that I think Ram does that just makes their brand and Stellantis really neat. But for me, day to day, a 4 mile per gallon loss and 2 mixed fuel economy, we'll run the math and see what 10 and 20,000 miles a year would represent if you get these nominal numbers for each truck. I'm curious, what do you guys think is a more reliable powertrain? A 5.7 with the hybrid e-torque system, or a twin turbo 6-cylinder Hurricane with a no hybrid system? Both trucks have 2 batteries. Otherwise, we look underneath these guys, they're the exact same trucks. You just got this really cool looking exhaust system that makes it sound really nice for the Hemi. But otherwise, the frames are the same, the paint coat options are the same, interior's the same, pretty much the exact same trucks when it comes into all of that. Just my opinion. I wish they would have said Hemi here. I don't think anyone really cares that it says e-torque. I just think it would have been really cool to say Hemi. But I think the reason they kept Hemi there, or why they kept e-torque, is because for the other versions that are non-e-torque, like this is a 6-cylinder version, they can just use the same badge. But I think it would have been kind of cool to say the Hemi up there. All right, guys, we're gonna go over some of these specs now for comparing the standard output Hurricane to the 5.7 liter Hemi Ram for 2026. And there's a caveat to this, guys, and this is why I tell you people that do your research, you got to be careful with AI programs like ChatGPT, because sometimes the data is not accurate. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. But I want to show you an area where I think the numbers are off, and I'm going to prove it to you. So we type this in, Hemi versus Hurricane, and it basically goes down to the specs. And when you look at the horsepower numbers and torque numbers, yeah, it's right. And you can see about a 5% increase in power with standard output Hurricane over the e-torque Hemi, and about over 10% increase in torque. And the torque comes on at a lower level, which is nice with the Hurricane. That's what makes this thing feel so much faster than the Hemi, is because of how the torque curve. Same exact trans. This is a big difference here, guys, as far as 0 to 60. 4.8 to 5.2 versus around 6 seconds. I've seen this as low as 5.7 seconds, but that's a huge improvement in speed. Then we talk about fuel economy and range. As you get better fuel economy, it helps with range as well. Towing capacities, it's close, but the one is a little bit lower. Now, when we look over 100,000 miles, because you're doing your homework, right? You want to understand, what is the impact of fuel economy over 100,000 miles? We compare the standard output Hurricane, 21 miles per gallon and 18. We're going to come back to these numbers. At the U.S. average gas price at $3.04 a gallon at the moment, this is conservatively saying an average of $2,400 in fuel savings using the Hurricane over the Hemi V8 over 100,000 miles. When you start looking at that, that's not a lot, in my opinion. I don't think that's much in fuel economy. And then when you compare this, they give a few different examples how the math is calculated. And then they give you an optimistic Hemi at 17, Hurricane at 22, a mid-level optimist where you can save $4,200 or conservative $1,600. But when you look at that over 100,000 miles, that's not a ton of savings in fuel. Now I'm going to show you why I believe these numbers are not accurate for $2,400. Let me show you what I mean. Over on fueleconomy.gov, and this is a really cool site that you can use where you can kind of type in different vehicles and compare it. And there's a few things I find really interesting when Ram went from 2024 to 2026 with the Hemi V8. Do you guys notice this? In 2024, the Hemi V8 got 2 mile per gallon better in the city and 2 mile per gallon better on the highway. Why do you guys think we lost 1 mile per gallon mixed in 2 city and 2 highway versus 2024? Because at this point, this difference is a big difference when we go from when we go from 26 to 26 versus the Hurricane. It's only 2 miles per gallon, which 2 miles per gallon at 18, that's only a 10% improvement. But now here's where things get interesting. And this is why I say question your data and math when you are looking at numbers on ChatGPT or other AI algorithms. You got to do your homework, guys. EPA would say the difference over 5 years, 5 years, and they calculate this at probably about 75,000 miles. They're saying you're looking at $3,750 in savings if you go from a 26 Hurricane versus a 26 Hemi. Well, that's 50% more at 75,000 miles versus ChatGPT's answer at 100,000 miles. So who do you think is right here? But check this out. When we bring in the 2024 Ram, you can kind of see these differences. And the other big thing here is, guys, is the standard output Hurricane requires regular fuel and the Hemi requires technically 89 octane. I don't know anybody running hardly 89 octane in a 5.7 Hemi. I've had a bunch of them, and I've always ran 87 octane. But if you run 87 octane in this engine, you're not going to get the performance numbers that Ram publishes. And these fuel economy numbers are based on using mid-grade fuel. So it's safe to assume if you run 87 octane, you're going to get different numbers than what's posted and quantified through the EPA.gov. But you can see the numbers here, guys. 4 miles per gallon better on the highway, 2 better in the city, 18 versus 20 overall, $3,750 in savings on the standard output Hurricane over 75,000 miles. So I'm curious, what would you guys go with? Would you go with the tried and true Hemi, or would you go with the Hurricane? 2 different options. I'm glad to have both now. I think this is what they should have done from the beginning. And Ram recognized that they're making it right and giving customers the option. I think it's awesome. Curious, leave your guys' comments down below. What would you go with and why? Thanks for watching.